Which do you think is the first rock and roll song ever made? Was it this? Or this? Or is it? There was a song recorded in 1951, which many of the historians believe was the first rock and roll song to be ever produced. It had distortion, it had speed, it had attitude. This is a story of Rocket 88. Hello everybody, my name is Suraj, and on this channel we dig into the stories of artists and music that shaped everything we listen to today. Let's rewind the tape. Rocket 88 was recorded in 1951 at Sam Phillips studio in Memphis. Same Sam Phillips that would later record Elvis Presley. The credit to this was given to Jackie Brenston and his Delta Cats. There was a little misunderstanding, a little confusion about that, which we will come to later. The band backing him was Ike Turner and Kings of Rhythm. Ike Turner, if that name sounds familiar, it should. Ike Turner would later become infamous and famous as the husband and musical partner of Tina Turner. Brenston and Turner were connected through this band and through one of the most important music recordings in music history. The broken amp that changed everything. This is my favorite part. The Kings of Rhythm were traveling from Mississippi to Memphis to record at Sam Phillips studio. On the way, the amplifier for the guitar fell off the car and it broke. When they plugged it in, it sounded wrong. It had distortion, it had fuzz, it sounded dirty. Today we call that overdrive, but back then it was a mistake. They stuffed the amp with newspaper to hold the speaker cone in place. For those who don't understand what a speaker cone is basically something that converts electrical energy into audible sound waves by pushing air. That recorded guitar played by Willie Kizzert is now considered as one of the earliest examples of recorded guitar distortions in history. And that raw, aggressive sound, that is what defines rock and roll now. What was Rocket 88 about? It wasn't a protest song. It wasn't about a rocket. It wasn't poetic. It was about a car. The Oldsmobile Rocket 88 was one of the first high-powered V8 cars. It was flashy, it was fast, and it was youthful. And that right there is important because rock and roll has always been about speed, movement, rebellion. Rocket 88 had that energy. Now here's where things get messy. Even though Ike Turner and Kings of Rhythm played on the record, it was released under Jackie Brenston's name. Why? Because Brenston sang lead on the track. Turner blamed Phillips for this error. Ike Turner and Kings of Rhythm were paid $20 each for the record. The song sold approximately 500,000 copies. Exception was Jackie Brenston there. He sold the rights to Sam Phillips for $910. The song became a hit. It went to number one on R&B and Billboard charts. But the credit didn't reflect the full picture. Ike reportedly felt sidelined. Tensions grew between Brenston and Kings of Rhythm. Jackie Brenston left the band. He tried to continue as a solo artist, but lightning didn't strike twice. Unlike Ike Turner, who went on to have a long, although controversial, career with Tina Turner, Jackie Brenston's story didn't end well. He struggled with alcoholism, his career faded, and he eventually went on to become a truck driver. The man who is possibly responsible for creating the first rock and roll song had disappeared from the spotlight. There's something almost poetic about that. Rock and roll was born loud, but some of its pioneers were forgotten quietly. Now here's the debate. Some historians believe that Rocket 88 is the first rock and roll song. Others say it is just rhythm and blues. So what's the difference? R&B in the early 50s had strong backbeats, blues structures and energetic vocals. But Rocket 88 had distorted guitar. It had a strong energy, youthful lyrics, very strong delivery. It felt different. Think about this. Without Sam Phillips recording Rocket 88, would he have recorded Elvis the same way? Without that distortion guitar accident, would rock music have embraced grit and imperfections the way it did? Sometimes music history changes not because of genius, but because something breaks. So was Rocket 88 the first rock and roll song? Maybe, maybe not. But it lit something. It captured something new, something electric. And whether you call it R&B or rock and roll, it lit the fuse. But was it truly rock and roll or R&B that just got rebranded? Maybe rock and roll wasn't born in one single song. Maybe it evolved from blues and R&B slowly. But if rock and roll had to have a birth certificate, Rocket 88 would be listed as a prime candidate. If you enjoyed this deep dive into music history, please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what do you think is the first rock and roll song. I'm Suraj, and I will see you in the next one.